Hi and welcome back to my channel. This is another entry in my Travel Notes Australia journal. Now this is a little journal that I have made just to put really simple travel notes down of where we went when we went around Australia. And my last entry was all about towers, and that was about the Gold Coast in Queensland. And this episode 3, we will travel further north into Queensland up the coast. Now we went we stayed a day in Gympie, and we found a meat pie shop called Beefy's. That's a picture in the top left corner of us eating at Beefy's, and oh, they sell the best meat pies in Australia. If you've never been to Australia, you have to try a good meat pie. Look, because they serve like mushy peas or all sorts of stuff with it, and it was just yum. Anyway, we moved on to Tin Can Bay after that. Tin Can Bay is a beautiful area. Now in Tin Can Bay, they have the dolphin feeding. They have um, humpback dolphins in Tin Can Bay. It's the only place around Australia that you can actually feed these humpback dolphins. It's the only species because they're a pink species. And you can probably see in one of the photos through this, there's a picture of it, and they blush pink. It's just crazy. So we got the opportunity to feed the dolphins, and that was amazing.
So she's just trying to ignore him at the moment. Hopefully he'll come up and you'll get a good look at him. So this is social blushing. He's really, really showing off to you guys. But they're very, very social animals, and obviously they feel very comfortable when they come in here. But don't forget, they are a wild animal. We also ask you not to touch them. Like when we have the feeding, you will come into the water. We don't touch them.
I mean, we seen the dolphins in Monkey Mia on the west coast, but they're very particular now. You can't walk in the water. You can't. Yeah, they're very particular how you feed them. Tin Can Bay, they were as well. You could only feed them what they gave you, and they only give them a certain amount. These dolphins are river slash estuary dolphins, so they don't go out into the ocean. They stay in the river area, and they're not like the dolphins that swim with the waves. They're just very slow going dolphins. And yeah, it was really great to see that. It was really good. There's a picture of me feeding the dolphin there, and there was actually a mum and its baby there when we were there, and the male dolphin come in, and they reckon that he loves to show off, and he'll blush pink. And he did it for us, and it was just really cool. So, Tin Can Bay, we took our bikes off the back of the camper and we went for a ride all around the bay. It was just beautiful. There was a lot of rain happening at that stage on the way up the coast, and we had to stop at Bunnings. Was it Bunnings? Yeah, we couldn't figure out. See, our camper window had a slider on it, and the rain kept coming in, and we couldn't figure out how we could stop getting wet plus get ventilation. So I ended up buying a piece of plastic and sort of cutting it just a little bit wide and popping it into the top and the bottom, so it gave a little arc shape, and the wind could go through but the rain couldn't come in. So we solved that problem. Anyway, we enjoyed Tin Can Bay. Dave put the drone up. That's the picture that you can see down the bottom, the aerial shot, and got a beautiful picture of Tin Can Bay from the sky. And then we went into Rainbow Beach. Here's a picture of the dolphin, and he's blushing pink. Isn't he awesome? Then we went and had a look at Rainbow Beach. That was on the 19th, and Rainbow Beach is really, really popular with the four-wheel drivers. Now, We actually seen a rainbow at Rainbow Beach. That's the bottom right picture that you can see on the screen. So we thought that was pretty cool, getting a picture of a rainbow at Rainbow Beach. But the tide was coming in and the four-wheel drivers were insane. They were just constantly coming up and down the beach. Um, I might put some video shots in here too as I go along. And yeah, and you can sort of see the sort of the four-wheel drivers really wrecked that beach. I think just the atmosphere of it, you know. Apparently they go pretty crazy, and you see four-wheel drivers stuck in the sand, in the water, and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, we left the heroes to their own, and we moved on then to Harvey Bay. Harvey Bay, I don't have any photos here of Harvey Bay. Oh, I'm writing the word pink here because I just wanted to write the word pink, and that was to do with the dolphins. And so that was my sort of heading for this entry. Yeah, Harvey Bay, we have old friends that live there, so that was our reasoning for going into Harvey Bay. We stayed there one night and we actually stayed at their place and had a nice chat and all that sort of stuff. The next day we went out and just had a look around Harvey Bay. We went to the historic Uranga Pier, and it goes way out into the water, and so we had a walk on that. We went to Harvey Bay is a really big whale watching area, and you can go out on whale watching tours, which we didn't do because we did one in Coss Harbour not long before we left, so we didn't do that. But we took some photos next to the big whale, you know, they've got big whale statues and stuff like that there. And then we had a really, really nice walk on the beach. Found some nice shells. Well, is it a beach? It's sort of a bay, and yeah, but we found some nice shells. And then, well, then we just kept moving on. We ended up moving on to Burham Heads, and we spent a night there, and it was just magical. We stayed in I think we stayed in a caravan park, but it backed onto um some fields and the bay area there, and the sunset was just amazing, which I didn't haven't got a picture here either. And there was a pod of kangaroos, and they were sitting in the long grass. And I'll put some little videos in between here. And they were just chillaxing. And the sun was behind them, so it just illuminated their fur and it just looked amazing. Now I had a little a lot of the photos I took going around Australia were just on my iPhone, but I did have a little camera. Oh, hang on. I'll show you these stencils. These are more stencils I bought off the previous eBay seller, and they're just awesome. So have a quick look at them while I talk to you. Yeah, so I had the iPhone and I had a little camera that had a really good zoom on it. So we sort of used, in those sorts of situations, we used the zoom to get good photos, and then the iPhone just to take those snaps. And then we would transfer them onto our phone and use them from there. So that's sort of how we took photos. I took photos, and then, like I said, Dave had a drone, and he would put the drone up in nearly every place that we went. And by the time we got round Australia, he was an expert at that drone because we'd taken it all around New Zealand before this trip, and got some beautiful, beautiful shots. So just to take this around Australia just added another dimension to our photographs, because you could go into an area, you could take an aerial shot of the area and get an just a really awesome overview of what the place looked like, and then you could sort of go, oh, let's go and explore there or there, and so it was just really fun to have that extra photographic element of enjoying Australia. So I've got some stencils here. I've got a rainbow stencil, and that's just like just remembering Rainbow Beach and seeing the actual rainbow at Rainbow Beach was pretty awesome. And when we got to, what was it, Tin Can Bay, we had our bikes on the back, and we had them covered with a thin tarp and a stretchy net. and and we started off like that from the mid north coast. By the time we only got to Tin Can Bay, which isn't that far up, it was torn to shreds. Absolutely torn to shreds. So I took a picture of Dave standing there just with this whole stretchy net, just the outer outer rim of it, and he's just standing there looking through it all. It was just absolutely torn to shreds. So we just chucked all that in the bin and didn't bother covering the bikes after that. But but yeah, so all the way up the coast we did have to, because we'd only just what do you call it, built our camper, so it was very minimal. We all the way up the coast, we were stopping into different sorts of Bunnings or Spotlight or this or that to try and finish bits and pieces in it. And we ended up making a rack for the back um above our heads where we slept, and we stored our extra pillows, blankets, soft things on top of that. I think my even my basket of crochet was stored on top of that. And because when we left, I sort of went, oh, I really want to pack some of my craft things, but what do I pack? So I packed my crochet with just a bare minimal amount of yarn, because I thought, well, if I'm really desperate, I can buy yarn anywhere. And because I was really into crocheting then. And I packed my watercolor paints, and what else did I pack? A few other things I can't remember now. It was just basic things. And you know what? I rarely used them. I did some crochet. I did a fair bit of crochet, but I rarely used the other things. And because there's just too much to do. Like, we basically just slept in the car, and the rest of the time we were always looking somewhere or doing something, going for a bike ride, going for a walk. Um, Very rarely spent much time actually in the camper during the day. So, so yeah, I mean, it depends how crafty you want to be. If we and when we go again, I would definitely pack some of my craft things in, just to like I'm doing here, maybe just to keep a better journal um of where we went, instead of waiting until nearly 5 years after to do this. But I'm just so grateful we had photos, and those photos, when you look back on the iPhone, have the date, the location, the time, all that sort of information, which is just so helpful these days. So it's definitely worth looking past. Like, we from the Gold Coast, we went through Brisbane, we didn't stop there. You pass into the Sunshine Coast. The Sunshine Coast, we did go to the Big Pineapple, but it was all closed. And apparently, just lately it has reopened and they've revamped it, which is just awesome to see because it was such a shame when we got there that they had closed all that because they have a pineapple train, the big giant pineapple that you can go up in, and all the pineapple products. It was just really, really cool. And if you've never tasted a Queensland pineapple, you are missing out. They are absolutely yum. They are so sweet and so juicy. So we bought some local produce as we went through the Sunshine Coast. We always stop and buy pineapples when we go through there, and just tropical types of fruits. So from there, like I said, we continued on up into Gympie, then Tin Can Bay, Rainbow Beach, Harvey Bay, Burham Heads, and um, Burret Heads. I think that's call it. Yeah, we did a lot of shell collecting there. It was a really quiet little place, so we just went for lots of beach walks. Dave got the drone out, that type of thing. It's definitely yeah, I would definitely spend a lot of time in these areas. There's a lot to see, and we just sort of skipped over a lot of it. If we went again, we would definitely spend more time looking around, because these days you can just press Google and it comes up with all the things that you can see in those areas. So yeah, there is a lot to see. By this time, we were really starting to relax, which was so nice. Like I said, in Burham Heads, we just sat there and I made some dinner. I think I made some soup that night because it was still a little bit cool. And we just watched the kangaroos. It was just really peaceful and really nice to do that. And by this time, Dave was starting to grow facial hair, and just starting to look that little bit more scruffy but relaxed, which is so good. And I'm so grateful for the time that we've had doing this. So grateful for it. People say to you, "Oh, how can you sit in a camper with your husband for that long?" This trip actually saved our marriage. We really needed something like this, and we just get grew closer and closer together the longer we stayed away. And highly recommend it. Highly, highly recommend it. So how special to see these pink dolphins and just get to do that. There was a funny little story when we lined up with the fish, because you buy a little bucket of yeah, you buy a little bucket and they put two or three fish in it, and then they call you down to, one at a time to feed the dolphins. And and there's only a certain amount that they feed them. And there was this little kid standing behind us, and he had his little bucket with the fish hanging out of it. And and there's a lot of sea life and birds and that sitting around, watching you. And there was a shag, what they call a shag, and it's one of those birds that dives under the water and catches fish. Then they come up and they spread their wings out in the sun to dry, and then they'll go fishing again. And there was one of these shags, and I'm pretty sure someone said it had a name. And I did take a video of it, and it was sitting on the edge, looking like it was minding its own business, waiting to dive back in the water. And everyone's lined up, their buckets in their hand, and this little kid had his bucket, but it was down low, because he was only a small little tacker. And this shag just walks straight over and picks the fish out of his bucket and eats it. And oh, the little kid just started screaming and crying. Oh, I mean, it looked funnier than what I'm saying, but yeah. So it was he had a good feed for the day, and all the rest of us got to to feed the dolphin. I'm pretty sure they gave him some more fish, but it was just fun to do that. And apparently they were lobbying for the mine not to open up there, because if they opened a mine nearby, it would actually um these dolphins would actually go extinct, because they're very susceptible to water change, and they live in the estuary and the rivers. So yeah, they were lobbying for this mine not to open, and I haven't heard since, but let's just hope they didn't, because then that would yeah, these dolphins are actually endangered. It's the only place around Australia that you can see them. So it's worth having a look in Tin Can Bay and spending some relaxing time there. Um, Now this was the whole point of the trip too, just to relax. Um, Bike ride, relax, walk on the beach, fly the drone, sit and just look, like my sister said, the more you look, the more you will see. And it's just so true, just those little details like the rainbow at Rainbow Beach. I mean, it lasted probably a few seconds, but it just meant so much. And it was, Rainbow Beach, you see these gorgeous pictures of it, but when you get there, um, when it's covered with four-wheel drivers, you just sort of think, oh, this isn't real, this isn't real nice. We're trying to walk on the beach, and there's every 2 seconds there's a four-wheel drive passing us, and yeah, it doesn't show you those sorts of things. But when we seen that the rain come over for a few minutes and the rainbow came out, and it was just worth it. That was worth it. So we didn't stay there long, just because it was just so busy and pretty much overrated. But it's good to see these things. And like I said, don't spend a lot of time looking at the tourist brochures, because when you get there, things are really different, and you need to enjoy what you see at the time, because there's so many variables when you do something like this. So yeah, that was our trip further north up the Queensland coast. We go further up in the coming episodes, and we go and then later on we go um, into the middle of Queensland as well. So, there's so much that you can see. We only take one track, but there's just so much. There's so much. Australia is a huge, huge country, and if you're overseas, or if you're from overseas, you need to really do your research, and see what you actually want to see. There's just so much, just make sure you pinpoint out what you actually want to get out of it. We could go around 10 times and see something different every time. It's just that big. And like I said, the East Coast is the most populated of Australia. And so there's so much to see on the East Coast. And it does get really, really busy. So, um, yeah, that's something to bear in mind um, when you go around Australia. So, I hope you've enjoyed just sitting here with your cuppa and just watching me put some words down, some stamps on, some stenciling and photos. I ended up just using the left-hand photos as a little pocket, and I put in that little pocket just the extra photos that I couldn't fit in. Um, yeah, I've just been printing them out off my computer onto some photo paper, and I've shrunk them down smaller, so I can fit smaller little photos in, and that's how I've been doing this travel notes journal. And yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed watching that. If you're new here, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. Press that bell button to get notifications. Like, share, and all that sort of stuff. Leave me a comment below if you've been to any of these places and what you did there. If you fed the dolphins or whatever you've done on the East Coast up in Queensland. It's such a beautiful, beautiful state. And yeah, we get into more gorgeous things in the coming episodes. So I hope you'll stick around and watch and listen to some of our stories. Um, we're just so sad. There's no beefies down here anywhere. Oh gosh, that was the yummiest meat pie we've ever had. When we went round Australia, there was a lot of you tend to get a lot of bakeries rather than takeaways, especially on the West Coast. So yeah, keep that in mind when you travel around. But yeah, it's all good. You can get good food everywhere. Oh, so I hope you're all having a good day. It's cold here. It's been like -2, I think it was 1 last night. And we're partway into spring. Crazy. All right. You take care, guys, and I will see you soon for a new video. Oh, that's another quick look at the dolphin and the kangaroos in the sun. They were gorgeous. Gorgeous. Happy times. Happy times. All right. I will see you soon for a new video. So you take care.